the Let's Talk Leadership podcast. My name's Ellie Greeny.
And my name's Sandra Patel-Stewart.
On this podcast, we will be interviewing some of the UK's greatest tech leaders. We'll be discussing war stories, battle scars, and their learnings from their journeys.
Hopefully, you will pick up some great tips, learn from others' experiences, and have a good laugh along the way.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Leadership podcast. It's Ellie Greeny here. I'm super happy today to have the fantastic Neil Dunlop on the podcast. So Neil is the technical director at Infinity Works. If you haven't heard of them, I'd be extremely surprised, but Infinity Works work with from tier 1 retail to financial services and in some of the largest technology-led projects in government. Infinity Works is unlocking the value of the next industrial revolution. Drawing on deep roots in engineering and equally deep roots in Yorkshire, they're a national company with global outlook. Originating from Yorkshire, obviously, they tell it as it is and never let their clients feel lost in an ever-changing and complex technology landscape. With locations across the UK and a diverse range of blue chip clients, Infinity Works in 2020 have over 400 staff now, and they are in the Financial Times list. Infinity Works is one of the UK's leading consultancies. So hi Neil.
Hello, lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're super excited to have you on the show and find out all about the great work that you're doing at Infinity Works.
Yeah, very excited to finally have you on board, because I actually, we haven't met before, but I first saw you speak at the AI conference last year.
I remember that day, a very busy day, and I kept circling your stand and we never got to chat, did we?
No, we didn't, but that was a great speech that you did that day. It was great, fantastic event.
Great conference actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, to be involved in, definitely. Yeah, I think ever since then I've been like, we need to get a company like Infinity Works and Neil on our show, and we finally got you here today.
Yeah, we eventually did it. We're there.
Fantastic. So it would be great to just start with telling our listeners and viewers a little bit more about you. Where did it all start? Obviously, I saw that you went to university and you did a computing degree. You started as a software developer, but it would be interesting to find out what led you and got you to that point, why a tech career, and then how you got to being technical director of one of the leading consultancies.
Yeah, okay. It's an interesting one. I'm one of those weird people, or so my wife tells me, that actually knew exactly what they wanted to do with their career. So when I was 6, I pestered my parents to get a ZX81 computer, and they never thought to do anything with it. Got it, learned to program, and it's been non-stop since there, really. But I didn't do any computing until I got to university. Did a computer science degree at Teesside University.
Mm-hmm.
Worked with the NHS on a placement year and learnt lots of stuff there, actually. And then from there, I took a graduate scheme with a very large US consultancy called EDS. No longer with us. Had some failed projects and spectacularly died after I'd left, actually. Nothing to do with me, but that's the way it goes. Business, I hasten to add. And I guess from there, I'd moved down to the south of England, was living in Reading, and it was the height of the dot-com boom. So all these way cooler, way sexier little startups were doing amazing things and doing really interesting projects, and everyone's going to be famous and really, really rich and do really technically challenging things. So like everybody else, I kind of left a very mainstream job to do a bit of a startup thing, and ended up doing web applications for people like BT and the BBC, and continued on that path, really. I worked for a couple of dot-com startups, some real genuinely clever and interesting startups and small businesses, a couple of which are still going today, actually. So there's one called Artesian Solutions, based out of Reading, that are still doing amazing things. Worked with the same set of guys there for about 7 years and learnt an awful lot there, actually. So sort of moved up from developer to team lead to technical lead to architecture, and learnt a lot about just running a small business, really. Well, it wasn't, it started small, it went very big in the end. But learning about commercials and finance and pitching and dealing with customers and dealing with people, really. met my good lady wife, and then we decided we wanted to start a family, and Reading probably wasn't the best place to do that. And we flipped a coin. It was either to move to Bristol, where she's from, or to move back up north. I won. I found a job with one of Europe's leading vehicle tracking companies just outside of Leeds, and moved up there to essentially run their analytics team and build that offering out. So lots of real-time dashboards, lots of real-time vehicle tracking, and then drawing some insight out of the data to help businesses manage their fleets and manage their workforce better. Did that for about 6 years actually, and learned again lots and lots of stuff about running really high performance, very scalable, large scale systems. And from there, I got offered a job in a consultancy, and I'd done a bit of that in the past. And it was always very exciting and very fun. Moved to a small consultancy working on airports and rail projects. And then I suppose bang up to date from there, I met a gentleman called Mr. Tom Walton, who, as he does, offered me a job in a coffee shop. And at the time, when he told me about it, I thought, I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure that's going to be a big thing. Thanks, Tom. Really appreciate the offer. Maybe look me up in a year. It's been pretty intense. I'm gonna take a slightly less high-profile career for a bit, or a job for a bit. Worked at one of Leeds' largest betting and gambling companies. There are a couple to pick from, so I haven't given too much away. Did that for a year, and then Tom rang me and said, "I bet you're bored." Yeah, right. I'm a bit bored actually, Tom. He said, "Do you want to come and do this Infinity Works thing?" Yes, please. So I went down there, did a 4-hour interview with the founders, which was interesting, and they decided to hire me, and it's been onwards and upwards from there, really, from a point where I thought was pretty much at the top of my career. Every day has been a school day at Infinity Works, but the opportunity has just been huge, and obviously the rest is history, I guess.
Fantastic. Amazing. So when you joined Infinity Works, how many staff were there? How many employees?
I think there were 50, around about 50 staff in total. But when I walked through the door, there were 6 people around one desk, and I thought, "Oh, made a terrible mistake here. What is this? What is this?" But yeah, there was about 50 people when I started.
Wow. So you've grown with the business. You've obviously helped the business grow and grown your role. And as you said, it's every day's been a learning day for you, which is fantastic. Amazing. So, in your view, what would you say makes Infinity Works successful?
It's probably a really simple answer. It's the people. It is absolutely the people. So we use tech. We're a tech consultancy, but it's the people that make the difference. It's their passion. It's their dedication. We don't have any products. We just have the people that work in the business. So looking after them and making sure they have a great career, and they stay with us and they grow with us and get lots of opportunities. Their passion and their commitment shines through, and they do a great job for our customers, and they bring all that passion to work every day, and all that technical expertise and all that consulting skill and great decision making. And they share that with our customers, and then we help our customer staff get better, and we deliver real positive outcomes. We stand by our outcomes. It's not just a matter of turning up, it's a matter of delivering a solution for a customer and taking customer staff on that journey as well. It's a real team effort. So it's people, it's everyday people.
Amazing.
I love what you said there about like supporting the customer as well. So then when you, part of the exit strategy, I guess, is that you're supporting a team that's self-reliant as you leave. And I think that's something that's really apparent, I guess, from our perspective of hearing about Infinity Works from the market, is that's definitely something that people always say about them as a third party, helping you come and support and that long-term strategy, which is amazing. Leads actually very nicely onto my next question, because like you say, it's all about the people. Similar to transition partners, actually, we're very much the same. We don't have a product. We're selling the people that we're working with, help us attract the right talent for our clients. But those people are really special, and we all know that in tech it's definitely a challenging, competitive market. Obviously, you've got offices across the UK now, but in Leeds specifically, where you guys originated for, there's some great companies to work for, other consultancies as well. So it does make it tough. How do you attract and retain talent so well at Infinity Works?
I think great people know great people. Everybody's got that network of contacts, and although we work with recruiters and we have an internal recruitment team, by far the best way of getting great people on board is asking our hires, once they're comfortable with us, just asking, who do you know, who would you work with again, who do you want to work with tomorrow, and asking them to refer friends or colleagues or people they admire and respect. And getting those introductions has always worked really, really well. People hire great people. So we tend to work that avenue quite a lot. We try and bring teams back together, people that worked together in the past, and think, I'd always like to catch up with that person. We did a great gig at XYZ company. I'd love to work with them again. And we can make that happen. We can make it all fit together. And I think the other thing is just being really transparent about what we do and how we do. Talking about our successes and talking about the projects we do and how we do those projects, and talking about our culture. Being really honest and transparent about things generally works really well. If people feel like they understand the direction we're going in and why we're doing it, and how they're part of that, it tends to help retention. People know where they fit into the big picture and how they can have a big influence and have a big say in where the company's going. That really helps retention.
Yeah. I love the idea of the referral piece as well, because like you say, people always have this thing, don't they, where they're like, I loved it when I worked at this company and we vibed off each other really well. Yeah. I actually had it about 2 hours ago. I had an offer for a candidate of mine and he's accepted, and I was like, oh, who else do you know who might be interested? And he was actually, there's a guy who's going to be looking soon, and I worked with him before and we were like supermen together. He was like, we had such a great vibe. I'd love to work with him again. And now I've got a call this afternoon, so that would be great to happen, and like you say, create those teams again, which is amazing.
We get a lot of that where people will, the referral will work out and their ex-colleague walks through the door, and there's a few people that have sort of said, oh, we're putting the band back together, and it's like, yeah, exactly that.
We do quite often, people kind of move sometimes as teams, don't they? Or like, senior leaders will secure a new position elsewhere and then gradually, slowly bring their whole, their entire team across with them. Which
I couldn't possibly comment.
I think the other thing that I really liked there as well was that when you were saying about taking people on that journey, so that you're being open and transparent and communicating the journey that you're taking as a business, because you're then getting buy-in from the people and they're genuinely on board with you and that journey. And I think that's so important. It sounds like the general theme that I'm getting so far from you is that you are very, and the business, Infinity Way, is a very people-focused, centric organisation and people. Which is...
Yeah, it's absolutely huge for us. I mean, we acknowledge that people's careers will take them beyond Infinity Works. That's inevitable, but it's on us as a business to make that stint with us as long as possible, to make it as fulfilling as possible. I'd love everyone that left our business to go on to become a fabulous entrepreneur or to work for a massive high profile company, to have the most successful career imaginable. But I'd like them to look back and go, the best place I worked was Infinity Works, and I learned loads at Infinity Works, and it gave me a foundation for the future. I'm going to fight every day to make them stay as long as possible, so there's always something new to be doing and to be learning. But we do acknowledge that they will leave us and we'll do other things. But as long as they look back with fond memories and say that was a really good start to my career, or I did some fabulous things there with some fabulous people, I'd still be incredibly proud of that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, as Sandra mentioned earlier, we met at the AI Tech North conference, and I actually saw you speak as well at the Google Cloud event down at the office as well, which was great. That was a really good day, actually. It was on a Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was surprisingly brilliant. Yeah, they flew in.
I loved it.
California. We weren't expecting that.
Yeah, it was really casual, but the crowd, I think it was the crowd, it was the people that day that really made it. Like, everyone was so invested and had a really great attitude. So I really enjoyed that event as well. So I guess we're kind of getting an idea, a bit of a theme here, but it'd be great for you to give us a bit of insight into what you think the future of tech is.
An interesting one, and everyone always asks this one. I think it's going to become more commoditized, I guess, but people have been saying this for years. Things are going to get simpler and easier to do, and it's true. You're going to see more commoditized package offerings, so it's easier to build scalable platforms and infrastructure. That's not a day job anymore. You can put all the commodity things together, whichever cloud provider you use, and do some really amazing things. And everyone kind of says, oh, engineers are going to be out of a job, we won't need them. We've been saying that for the 20, 20 plus years I've been in the business, and it never quite happens. There's always another challenge. There's always the next thing that you need to do. So although there's going to be a lot more commoditization, so cloud platforms and analytics platforms and that kind of thing, and low code solutions and tooling to do all that kind of thing, there's still going to be the complicated things that need doing, and it's going to need clever people with analytical minds to do that. And I think skilled technical people just move with that wave, essentially. The things that used to occupy weeks and weeks of their time now take 30 minutes, set up an environment and deploy things that used to take 3 weeks and loads of people. Now it's 3 minutes and the click of a button. All those people just move on to do the next complicated thing that was never on the list because they didn't have time. But I think you're going to see a lot more cloud. You're going to see probably more careful application of analytics. I think it's an incredibly useful thing to be able to make timely and informed decisions. You need data, you need information to do that. I'm not sure the AI ML hype is going to pan out quite the way people thought. It's slowing down a little bit, I think. I think people are going to look a lot more at business outcomes. How can we make our business better? Tech is a means to an end to that. We solve business problems. We happen to use tech for a big slice of that, but there's also people skill and analysis skills and service design, and there's mobile offerings in there. So I think you're going to see much more holistic business-focused solutions coming to the fore. And tech is one of the tools in the armory.
Love that.
Fantastic, great insights there. And that, I think, leads me quite nicely onto my next question, which is, I guess, tech related as well. So you've obviously had a very long standing career within tech. What started with your interest in computers at the age of 6. So if you hadn't have gone into a tech role, what would you have done? What do you think you would have done? Like, what would you have chosen to do differently?
Wow, that's quite a tough one. I've been working with some coaches recently, and that's one of their questions. If you weren't doing this, what would you do? I suppose, when I was 6, I wanted to be an airline pilot, and the doctor, I remember going for an eye test, and the doctor said, "Oh, well, he can do anything he wants as long as he doesn't want to be an airline pilot." It's a bit awkward.
Oh no!
So that might have had something to do with my career direction. Maybe a writer, something like that. I do quite enjoy writing. I quite enjoy planning and elaborating things.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe a writer. I was always pretty good at English. Found that quite engaging.
Do you write anything at the moment? Do you write articles? And
no, again, it's something on my hit list that I really need to do more of this year, is to write more articles, more blog posts, more deeper pieces on the direction of travel for tech and business.
Yeah.
I find business fascinating, working in different business domains. That's why I'm in consultancy. You get to kind of peek behind the curtain of all the great businesses and find out how they work, and find out how you could make it better and how you can solve problems for them. So anything in that space, I'm probably never going to be too far away from what I'm doing now, to be honest. Maybe not as much hands-on tech, but people fascinate me, and building effective structures and organizations. So something around there. I'd like to write more, trying to get more time in my working day to do some of that, but who knows? Fingers crossed.
Fantastic. We'll watch this space then for that. So you've come a long way. You've had a very successful career. You're so passionate about what you do. Obviously in a very high level leadership position. A lot of the listeners that we get listening to this show are aspiring leaders, and people that are kind of, I guess, looking for advice and tips and that sort of thing. So are there any books or articles, or whether it be hard copy books or audio books, or anything that you've listened to and read along the way that you would recommend, I guess, has helped you get to that?
Yeah, interestingly, I was asked by one of our non-exec directors, have you got any books you could recommend that helped me get into the mindset of Infinity Works? And I picked up my Kindle and thought, I'll have a quick skim through to see if there's anything that stands out. That's when I learned that I've got a really bad habit of buying books, essentially. I've got over 300 non-fiction books, and then I've got probably as many fiction books. And I've read the vast majority of them, actually. So I've got a real issue with reading lots of things. That's how I learn. But I read a massive variety of stuff, to be perfectly honest. But things like Accelerate is a really good book if you're interested in, I guess, the mechanics of solution delivery and trying to do it in a scientific way. That would be definitely worth reading. A lot of stuff is around mindset and how you tackle problems and how you push through when there's challenges. There's a book called Legacy, which is actually a sporting book, which, again, if anybody knows me, I'm not a sporting person. I'm just not. It's just not for me. But it's by a guy called James Kerr, and it's about the All Blacks, and it was recommended by some of our founders, actually. It's brilliant. It's brilliant if you want to understand team dynamics and how you motivate yourself and a really sort of down-to-earth mindset of how the All Blacks triumphed, essentially.
Does that cover off like motivating others in your team and understanding team dynamics and things like that?
Things like understanding yourself, understanding your personality, understanding what drives other people, understanding what good leadership looks like what it practically looks like. So they've got a couple of core principles that are all backed up with this is what the team actually did, but they're very, very applicable to the real world and to business. So yeah, I'd definitely go for that one.
Sounds great.
I think I might
coach. There's loads. Team Topologies, $1 Trillion Coach, anything by Jason Fried. Coaching Habit is another good one. So there's a bit of tech, there's a bit of business, and there's a bit of people in there. So
nice to mention Team Topologies as well, because that's Matt Skelton, right?
It is indeed, yeah.
So Matt comes and does training in our office sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, no, he's brilliant. So really nice guy. Oh, good to hear. Good to give Matt a shout out as well.
Yeah, we're having a few conversations with him, so hopefully he'll be back in Leeds at some point as well. So
nice.
Brilliant. So big job. You said you're not really a sporting man, but prior to the recording of this, I've heard you've been doing the old couch to 5K. So you've got a lot of responsibility, and it sounds like reading is probably a good escape mechanism for you as well, and manage to, I guess, unwind by reading, which is great. But how do you manage the stress of it all, Neil? And what do you do to look after yourself?
It's an interesting one. I have a very understanding and forgiving wife. So she's very good at listening to me ramble on for maybe half an hour a day, just to vent and debrief and kind of play it all over. And she asks what she would say is the bleeding obvious, which are usually the questions that need to be asked of. Well, does it matter? What are you going to do about it? What difference does it make? And it really helps to kind of frame it and add some context to, is it that big a thing?
That's good.
And I suppose, yeah, the couch to 5K thing, particularly with lockdown, has been a great way of clearing my head and going for a run. Actually, the runs go better when I've got a lot of work stuff to think about. It stops me focusing on how much my legs hurt when I'm running. I zone out and think work stuff. And then I used to be a DJ back in my misspent youth.
Did you?
Yeah, so kind of privately back into that and doing a mix is a good way of killing 3 hours and then wondering where your day went, really. So just messing around with records, basically.
Oh yeah, we've got a DJ table at home.
Right.
My husband's absolutely obsessed, and it's just become a new thing over the last couple of years. I'm convinced it's one of those like midlife crisis things.
Yep, pretty much.
He loves it though, doesn't he? He loves getting
been on lockdown. I'll have to send you some of the links actually. I did one last weekend and the weekend before, but he's been doing some live streams on Facebook. Brilliant. So yeah, when he next does one, I'll send you the link.
Please do. I'd love to see that. I think there's a load of closet DJs out there that are really enjoying lockdown.
All the dads in our group, all the dads, with the kids dancing in the background. It's so cute.
Honestly, I think it's an age thing. I think it's a time thing. It's just brilliant. It's just a really good way of kind of unwinding and not thinking about anything too serious, really. So
yeah, definitely.
Good music's good for the soul as well, isn't it? So definitely anything that helps. So interestingly, then we said we've seen you at tech events before, and I'm sure as part of Infinity Works, you're here, there, and everywhere, getting involved in conferences. But it'd be great to find out about your involvement in the tech community. Conferences, events that you feel will be really worthwhile for our listeners attending, or places that you've taken a lot away from and really enjoyed being a part of. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that obviously COVID-19's put a bit of a blocker on, and it's something that I really want to push on next year. But we've done a lot of things around things like Code Up, so getting people into technology, people who want to either get new into tech, regardless of their age. So we run some Code Up sessions out of our office, which is nice. So the team volunteer their time. Like if you've got a project or you want to learn to code, come along and we'll help you with that. And the guys are really great at just kind of sharing their enthusiasm and helping people with their pet projects and working things through like that. So that's going from strength to strength. We really need to kind of get out and engage more with more in the Leeds tech community. I've spoken in the past and it's kind of slipped in the last sort of 6 to 12 months of being a bit busy. But you've got to give a shout out to Leeds DevOps. We've been a long time sponsor, and Andy and the gang do a fabulous job of making that a really great community. It's very inclusive, a really great space to go and learn some new stuff, some really great speakers as well. I think looking more further afield, one that I have got an awful lot out of, and try and park the location of it out of your mind a little bit. But Web Summit in Lisbon is really, really good to go to.
I always hear great things about Web Summit.
It's well worth going. It's like a 3 to 4 day thing. If you can get to Lisbon, it's just the mix of tech and business and the culture and the ethos of the thing is just fabulous. It's very, very inspiring. You'll probably come back with a bunch of notes and a bunch of ideas. And if you really need to kind of reset and re-energize, that's brilliant. Obviously, all the AWS conferences, maybe not the one in Vegas. That's quite a long way to go, and it's quite hard work being there. But if you can catch them online, they're great as well. And support local initiatives. There's lots of great meetups in Leeds, and I definitely want to get stuck into that as soon as we can all get back to some kind of relative normality. It'd be nice to get back into all of that.
Have you come across any good stuff online since we've been in lockdown that might be?
What have I been doing? I guess not so much tech stuff. I took a masterclass subscription, so masterclass.com, just because there's a variety of different things in there, and there's
meant to be really good, isn't it, masterclass?
Yeah, I mean the one that caught my eye was it's not saying anything about work, but it was a hostage negotiator from the FBI.
Oh wow!
It was teaching negotiation skills, and that's why I paid for the subscription, just thinking this is just going to be fascinating. But there's lots of really interesting people, like Bob Iger from Disney, about how he makes decisions. There's lots of different interesting luminaries that you can kind of listen in and go, how do you think about the world, and what do you worry about? So tech-wise, I guess I'm always stalking random YouTube channels for tech things. Some of our own team are doing some interesting stuff that we're hoping to publish a little bit later in the year. But yeah, there's nothing that's completely grabbed me, but it's the internet. There's plenty out there, basically.
Yeah.
But then it's also, as well, isn't it? It's important at the moment, particularly in lockdown, is that you're shutting down your computer and stepping away from it, because I think that's certainly something that people are struggling with.
Yeah, I think that's been a huge challenge, and that's been our big challenge in the past 3 to 4 months. Is the team have been fabulous. We adapted really, really quickly, and the team did an amazing job, and we've ploughed on and continue to do great stuff for our clients. But it's challenging for everybody, right? And that work-life balance and learning to draw the line. It's just so easy to kind of keep the laptop open until stupid o'clock in the evening, and you've got to shut the laptop. You've got to do something else. You've got to switch it off. It's starting to be challenging for everybody. I think we all want to get back to some kind of really safe normality, but we're all craving a little bit more social interaction. But yeah, we just try and support everybody as best we can, make sure that we're checking in with people. It's changed how we work, and it will change how we work in the future. But so far so good, and everything's been okay.
Yeah, it's just certainly getting used to it, isn't it? But like you say, sounds like you're doing a good job of stepping away from the keyboard and stepping onto the decks, which sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so it's been fantastic having you on the podcast, but I would love to finish with a good question really about what are you most excited about that you've got coming up? What are your big plans at Infinity Works?
If you ask the founders, they would say, I've been sat in the middle of the office a little bit late at night with some of the founders and saying, did you ever expect it to get here? And I went, nope. I said, have you any idea how it ended up here? And I went, nope. And I think over the last 18 months, we've done a fair bit of growing up as a business. We've put some more structures in place, and we're a bit more disciplined about things. And I think that's going to lay some really great foundations for the future. We've we're clearer about what we do, what our service propositions are. You might have noticed we're getting our brand together, and it's a much more strong and coherent kind of voice that we have. I think it's just onwards and upwards, really. You know, it never fails to surprise me at Infinity Works about where we're going and how quickly we're going there. So I think the company's going to get bigger. We're going to grow. We're going to take on new challenges. We're going to add some more service offerings and get more specialised at the things we do for our customers. But hopefully, it's all a nice holistic offering that delivers really great results. We'll keep the culture. We'll keep the spirit. We'll get bigger and we'll go faster and we'll do more. But just a great opportunity for myself and everybody to learn, really. There's so much to go at. The opportunities are huge.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's so inspiring. I think the story at Infinity Works is that things have moved at, and I guess it's good testament that good things happen to good people as well. So it's brilliant to hear your story and successes, and obviously we wish you guys the best of luck in the future as well. So that's fantastic, amazing. So yeah, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, Neil. It's been a pleasure hearing your story and learning all about your background.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for having me. It's been good.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on board. Really enjoyed that.
Cheers.
Cheers.